Local 4 News starts now with a forewarned weather alert.
And we have that forewarned weather alert because of dangerously cold temperatures freezing over much of Metro Detroit. The winds making it even worse. It's currently 18 degrees in Detroit, but it feels more like 5. Ron Hilliard is tracking how long this cold snap is going to last. As we take a live look at the roads throughout the area as well, some areas have slick spots after a fresh dusting of snow. You can see on the maps there. Majority of it is green, which is good news on a Monday morning. However, today is a federal holiday, so there's a good chance that the traffic is much lighter because of Martin Luther King Jr. Day throughout Metro Detroit. Well, thank you for joining us here on Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Ron Hilliard in for Ashley here on this Monday. I think the fact that this is a holiday probably helps not only the traffic, but the fact that we don't have school for many kids. You don't have to worry about the bus stops and recess, but tomorrow could certainly be affected as well.
That's right. That is a plus that we have less traffic today, but tomorrow could be an issue here in Metro Detroit. And I want to talk about the concerns that we're going to have today because there are multiple concerns that we're going to have. It's the snow that we have falling right now and throughout the day. And then it is also the wind chills that'll be an issue. Now, what we have on radar right now is going to be showing a lot of snow on the west side of the metro, but all of us are under that winter weather advisory until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Here's the exact track 4D radar. We are looking at, here's a view into Ann Arbor with that snow falling, and you'll see that the temps are coming in right now in the teens across southeast Michigan. Exact track 4D radar showing that we have snow that is impacting us, especially stretching anywhere from Lapeer County through Oakland County and back into Washtenaw County. Now, there's other parts of the metro that are seeing the snow showers as well, even extending into Lenawee County. But this is where we have some of the heavier bands falling right now. As you go into Chelsea, we're having that snow falling. Dexter, seeing that snow, Ann Arbor. And this is extending over toward Ypsilanti. We go into places like New Hudson and Novi. The snow is coming down heavily at this time. Anybody that has to drive along I-96, make sure that you're taking caution. And maybe if you can wait and delay your drive, maybe just wait it out because the snow is coming down heavily and potentially risking travel right now.
Right. Okay, so do you anticipate any school issues tomorrow or too early to say?
I think that some school districts and some schools will be closing because with wind chills down at 20 below zero, you can suffer frostbite on any exposed skin in as little as 15 to 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, Ron, thank you. Appreciate that. Now, with the temperatures dropping, as Ron is just talking about, in these dangerous levels, cities across our area are making sure nobody is left out in the cold. Detroit, a live look over there right now, has declared a cold weather health emergency to keep the residents there safe, working with the Detroit Rescue Mission, offering overnight shelters through Wednesday afternoon. The Pope Francis Center over on Hancock Street will open tonight at 5 p.m. for single adults, closing Wednesday at noon. Since it's MLK Day, most recreation centers are closed except for Adams Butzel and the Coleman A. Young centers, which will remain open. And also, anybody can access these temporary shelters just by walking in, or you can call the 24/7 Detroit Housing Resource Tip Line. That number on your screen, 866-313-2520. And we do have a list of warming centers on our website at clickondetroit.com. If you do need to be out and driving today, make sure your car is ready, a full tank of gas and an emergency kit, including warm clothes, blankets, and definitely a phone charger. And now is a great time to remind you as well to download that forewarned weather app. The live radar can be very useful on days like this, especially to get alerts about what's happening with the wind. There's also an hour-by-hour forecast. All of it, again, the Local 4 weather app, and it is absolutely free. All right, switching gears and getting your headlines on this Monday morning. We are starting overseas, where at least 39 people have died in a train crash in Spain, with rescuers searching for survivors on the wreckage you can see right there. The train was going nearly 200 miles an hour when it derailed and slammed into another train. Rescuers fear more people could be trapped beneath those cars. Right now, at least 73 people are still in a hospital with injuries. At least 400 people were on both trains. No word yet on why or how this happened. This is the deadliest train disaster in Spain since 2013. An 18-year-old is accused of making violent threats to an Ann Arbor elementary school. Friday afternoon, police say the teen made threats with a gun during dismissal time at Hazley Elementary. Police arrested him at his home, and he's now getting medical treatment. Formal charges of making terroristic threats are expected this week. Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald facing serious allegations, accused of breaking court and professional rules in the prosecution of the Crumbley parents. The Michigan Attorney Grievance Commission is investigating claims filed by another attorney accusing McDonald of putting winning ahead of justice and using the case to boost her political career. Legal experts point to her allowing a documentary crew full access despite a gag order and giving multiple media interviews before and during the trials. McDonald, who is running for Attorney General, calls these claims a political attack, and her office stands by the guilty verdicts against both parents. Taking a live look at the White House this morning, where the Trump administration is defending the president's proposed tariffs against 8 European countries, close allies who oppose his plan to buy Greenland. The president announced a 10% tariff that could rise to 25% in June if no deal is reached to purchase the Danish territory. As Alice Barr reports, Democrats are criticizing the move, calling it a land grab aimed at Greenland's mineral resources.
Good morning. Lawmakers in both parties have raised questions about the grounds for imposing these new tariffs to compel a land sale. Asked on NBC's Meet the Press what national emergency justifies the move, the Treasury Secretary argued they're aimed at avoiding an emergency. This morning, the world responding to President Trump's escalating pressure campaign to take control of Greenland, where protesters took to the streets.
I think he can scare people. He can't scare Greenlanders.
While European allies push back against the president's announcement of a new 10% tariff on goods from Denmark and 7 other countries, ramping up to 25% by June, until the Danes agree to sell their territory of Greenland to the U.S. European ambassadors holding an emergency meeting in Brussels, saying the tariff threats risk a dangerous downward spiral in relations, while the Danish prime minister said, quote, Europe will not be blackmailed. President Trump is adamant the U.S. needs to own Greenland for national security.
If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome.
A reference there to the missile defense system the president wants to build to guard against any air attacks. Critics noting the U.S. already has a military base in Greenland.
Denmark and Greenland have both said to the United States, you can take what measures you need to protect the security of the United States and, of course, the NATO alliance.
Instead, calling the push a land grab for Greenland's critical minerals. The Treasury Secretary rejects that.
He's looking beyond this year, he's looking beyond next year to what could happen for a battle in the Arctic. We are not going to outsource our national security.
A high-stakes back and forth sending tensions rising with American allies. President Trump posted late last night that NATO has been telling Denmark for 20 years to get the Russian threat away from Greenland, adding now it will be done. That as leaders of Denmark and Greenland are due to meet today with NATO's Secretary General. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Well, today the nation is remembering Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and there are lots of events here at home to do that. In Detroit, St. Matthew's and St. Joseph's Episcopal Church holding their annual 23rd annual rally starting at noon with music and speakers, followed by a community meal at 2 p.m. Over in Southfield, the 41st annual MLK Peace Walk begins at 9 a.m. at the United Methodist Church, with a program at 11 a.m. at the Southfield Pavilion. This year's theme is Crafting the Dream in a Peaceful and Sustainable World Rooted in Dignity, Democracy, and Nonviolence. Now, coming up in our next half hour, we're going to talk with the Charles H. Wright Museum about an event they're hosting today. Plus, we're going to take a look at how MLK Day became a federal holiday and how men with ties to Motown helped actually make that happen. Well, today is Blue Monday, also known as one of the most depressing days of the year. It typically falls on the third Monday in January. By now, a lot of people have given up on their New Year's resolutions, and they're in a post-holiday slump. And of course, the weather does not help. Blue Monday is not based on science whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form. But the feelings, those are real. The idea does resonate with some people. To talk more about Blue Monday and seasonal depression, we're joined by Carrie Craywick. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist over at the Birmingham Maple Clinic in Troy. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. So I don't want to sound crass when I ask this, so I'm not, just know that. But is this a real thing?
Yes and no. So it's definitely, like you said, it's been widely debunked by science over many, many years. So there isn't any actual evidence that there's one particular day of the calendar that's more depressing than any of the rest. But in general, there are a lot of features of this time of year where people do experience heightened depression. So certainly the post-holiday slump, like you said, there might be weight gain. Of course, people are stressed about money. They might have had, like you said, already broken their resolutions, and they might not have very much they feel like looking forward to. Like you spoke about the weather, they might feel sort of secluded and in their homes and kind of bored. And certainly the less sunlight will all contribute to a low mood. So in general, people experience a low mood at this time of year, but it's not one day.
Gotcha. So when we talk about post-holiday slump, there's a lot of things we could talk about, but it seems like, and you kind of mentioned it about the weather being secluded, but I think that also can relate to those who enjoy being around their friends and their families over the holidays, and you kind of ride that high for a couple of weeks, and then you start to realize that the holidays really are over.
Well, absolutely. And social connection is really, really, really good for our mental health. So it's one of the features of a mentally well person is being connected socially. And so when we feel disconnected socially, when we feel loneliness, it is going to contribute to depression, anxiety, and lower mood.
Right. Okay. So now that we know all these things and how they are real factors, whether or not Blue Monday itself is real, what can we do about them? Because they are real problems.
Well, I love, Blue Monday itself started in the UK, but like you said, here in the United States, today is in fact a holiday. And there's a real opportunity here that some of the things that are actually good to do on MLK Day are also very good for your mental health. For one, contributing to volunteering and in your community helps to boost mental health by giving people a state of purpose. It helps to connect to other members of the community with like interests. It gives just the release of dopamine by doing something good. And you can start small, do things in your home to create donations and organize will help boost your mood. Obviously, to get involved in a group, to learn something, to spend the day, especially any day that's kind of snowy and stuck at home, to read, to engage in a topic that's meaningful to you, and in ways to really embrace it. The Danish countries kind of have a special word for this year that means coziness, and it's really about finding gratitude and saying, wow, how lucky are we to have this time to hunker down, to engage in our interests, to read, to be slow, and finding the sort of the beauty and the positivity in that time.
It's funny you say that, because my next question for you was going to be about the effects of seclusion and feeling isolated. But it sounds like in some cultures we embrace it.
Sure. Most things when it comes to our mood are really about a state of mind. And if you can find gratitude and positivity, even in what seemingly is negative, and really making the most of it is going to do wonders for your mood.
Interesting. Okay, so I know we're not technically talking about Blue Monday connected to seasonal depression, but I think there are similar types of factors, and especially how you feel in your mood. This time of year, especially when you've got weather like this where you really shouldn't be outside and it's just cloudy for weeks on end, that is a real factor and a real problem, isn't it?
Sure, absolutely. But whatever sun you can get is better than none at all. So, making an effort when you wake up in the morning to say, for example, open your blinds or have your morning cup of coffee or tea near a window. You can do things, maybe even parking, although it's cold, parking slightly farther away from the building and walking in. You can do very small things to improve, one, how much sunlight you're getting, and two, to improve your mood, even how much movement you're getting. Like you said, not only do we not get very much sunlight this time of year, we don't get very much movement, which is also good for our dopamine. So if it's doing a video from your home, like a YouTube video or something on exercise, or taking the stairs more often at your workplace or something, finding ways to incorporate just a little bit of light, a little bit of movement, and even, like I said before, when volunteering, a little bit of contribution to your community, even just a small random act of kindness, like holding the door open for someone, can do a wonder for your mood and theirs.
You talked about the light, and I've seen lots of things about these UV lights that mimic sunlight. Do those actually work?
Certainly, there are small, medium, and large ways you can go to clinics or facilities and get some kind of light therapy. You can buy something on Amazon. I can't speak to how all of them work, but there are benefits. But it's just doing your research and finding reputable resources to know which is the best piece of equipment for you.
Gotcha. One last question for you, Carrie. You've talked a lot about being social and just having interactions with people. In terms of that line between doing it virtually, whether it's being posting or having conversations on Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram, whatever it might be, versus physical, like person-to-person contact. When do you know when you should be relying or knowing that I need to see somebody, I need a hug?
Sure. I mean, I think it's really listening to yourself. I think sometimes we can feel connected when we're socially connected on social media, and that feels like good enough. But sometimes when we're hungry, Doritos feel like good enough food. But sometimes, wow, I really need something more than this. So it's definitely great to use virtual as an option, as a touch point to reach out. But sometimes we know that's not good enough. And if you're feeling lonely, misunderstood, disconnected, then certainly those would be signs that you need something more.
So you're saying eating an entire bag of Cool Ranch is not going to help?
Right. You know what? Right. Like I said, sometimes it hits the spot, but it doesn't quite fill us up. And that's
it's
exactly
filling. You might feel sick afterwards, but you'll be full.
Right.
All
But
right.
social media does its part to connect us, which is great, but it sometimes just isn't quite enough to fill up all of those gaps.
Yeah, not hitting those check boxes. All right, Carrie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to go back to a commercial break here in a moment. Dangerous cold and more snow, as Ron was saying, on the way. A live look now at the snowman cam in Gaylord. What's he wearing right now? I can't even tell right there. Oh, it's a Gaylord, and there's a squirrel. Producer Mary is so happy right now. Multiple squirrels. She just told me she's so happy about it. Former meteorologist Ron Hilliard is going to be tracking how long this bitter cold is going to last. Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a live look now at Duluth, Minnesota right now. The actual temperature, negative 11 degrees, but because of the wind, it feels more like negative 32. Fortunately, it's not quite that bad here in much of Detroit, but it's pretty close. And I think once you get down to the temperatures like that, it all feels just awful, right?
Yes, it feels terrible. But I must say, as you go into the upper Midwest, places like the Dakotas, Minnesota, that's where it's more common to get cold air.
Sure,
here
you're
in
used to
Detroit,
it. Right.
you start getting down to -20 for the wind chill, and we're just not accustomed to that.
And especially looking at your 7-day forecast, I mean, we're kind of sitting this way for quite some time, aren't we?
We are. It is going to be cold for a few days. Only about maybe 1 or 2 days will we actually be near normal this week. So because of the conditions that we're experiencing right now, Nick, we do have a forewarned weather alert through tomorrow morning. That's for the snow, the blowing snow, and dangerously cold conditions. And what exactly is the blowing snow? That's the wind whipping the snow through the air and also picking up snow that's on the ground, further reducing visibility. Winter weather advisory also over all of southeast Michigan through tomorrow morning. And here's a look into Southfield. Visibility is reduced. We could see some quick accumulations. This is along 696. We are seeing snow bands moving through Metro Detroit, and they are bringing some heavy snowfall right now. Here's a look at where that snow is. It's moving across the region from west to east. And here's a closer look. Right now, we're seeing that snow impacting us in places like Canton, Westland, also seeing it in Brighton. Snow falling in Farmington Hills, and we go over toward Inkster, Garden City, that snow falling down. We'll soon see that impacting us more and more in Dearborn. And going up toward the north, Oakland County, snow coming down in Auburn Hills. It's also falling as we go into places like Lake Orion, Capac. We're seeing the snow impacting us as well. That snow band is dark blue, indicating heavy snowfall and intense snowfall rates. A bigger picture of the snow coming off of Lake Michigan as you have to go, if maybe you're traveling over toward Grand Rapids, it's going to be even more intense in places like South Bend as well. As you go out of the state, if you have to travel maybe toward Chicago, the snow will be heavy, especially in southwest Michigan and northern Indiana. So coming back to Metro Detroit, we're looking at these snow showers impacting us throughout the day. It is going to be cold as well, and winds will be picking up as we go into the afternoon hours. So I do want to bring your attention to the actual air temps. We're in the teens right now for most of us, up to near 20 degrees, but the wind chill values push us all the way down to around 0 and even below in some communities. Get used to that. That cold air is going to be sticking with us all day long. These peak wind gusts will be up to near 30 to 40 miles per hour this afternoon, and that contributes to that wind chill being so low. So throughout the day, not going to feel any warmer than the single digits. And as we go into tomorrow morning, feeling like it's 15 below and in some spots as low as 20 below for the wind chill values. Highs around 19 degrees, but feeling like we're in the single digits to even below 0. Maybe you're headed to LCA tonight. If you have to walk over to Little Caesars Arena, make sure you're bundled up properly, having a scarf, gloves, hat, all of the heaviest winter gear that you have. We have cold temps tomorrow, 15 for our high, the low 9 degrees as we go into Wednesday morning, but by the afternoon hours on Wednesday, Nick, finally back to normal. I'm thinking we're going to see some heavy snow potentially impacting us for our Wednesday morning commute once again, though.
Oh, perfect. Great. Thank you.
So, not just today.
I was having a conversation with a buddy, and we were talking about the temperatures, and I was like, oh, I got to run and grab some of the better washer fluid, the stuff that doesn't freeze. And he was like, wait, that's a thing? I'm like, yeah. Everybody at home should know there's washer fluid meant so it doesn't freeze and ruin your lines, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And check your levels, because I've been using it so much. You know, that road spray starts flying up in your windshield, and you realize that you're spraying constantly along your drive.
All right, Ron, thanks, man. We're going to come back in a few minutes here on Local 4 with the news update. And then at 8:30, a conversation with the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. The events today remembering the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. And we're going to look at how today actually became MLK Day, a federal holiday, with the help of 2 Michiganders.
And good morning to you. We're looking at snow showers impacting us here in Metro Detroit. Some of these are actually bringing some heavy snowfall, reducing visibility and quickly causing some accumulations on the roadways. We're seeing these bands most intense right now as we go into northern Oakland County, Washington Township, Macomb Township, Shelby, Utica, Rochester Hills. And look at this stretch right here with these dark colors along 696. If you're around Madison Heights, Southfield, make sure you are allowing extra time. Forewarned weather alert in effect for us today through tomorrow morning because of blowing snow and dangerously cold wind chills. We also have that winter weather advisory going until tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We're looking at highs only in the teens today, but the feels like temps will be down in the single digits to even below zero. And when it comes to those sky conditions, they could quickly change. Make sure you're downloading, if you don't have it on your phone, the Forewarned Weather app.
Local 4 News starts now with a forewarned weather alert.
Well, get ready, Metro Detroit. We are in a forewarned weather alert because of the extremely cold temperatures. A live look at Mount Holly right now. It's 14 degrees, but it feels like -3. Also, a live look at Metro Airport. There's a list of delays, likely because of all the de-icing that needs to happen. 48 delays, 11 cancellations right now. It's 18 degrees there and also feels like 3. But if you want to stay warm, maybe jump on a plane and head somewhere a little bit warmer. Thank you for joining us for Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. The temperatures are going to get even lower tomorrow. That's why Ron Hilliard is here with that forewarned weather alert. Not only looking at today, but really tomorrow as well, because school's back in session, bus stop weather, recess. I'm sure recess is going to get canceled tomorrow if you are in school.
I think so. Yeah, we're talking about wind chills that could be as low as 20 below zero, Nick, and you could see frostbite developing in as little as 15 to 30 minutes when you have wind chills that low. So right now, the primary concern is going to be the snow that's falling. Here's a look at Ann Arbor. The roads, you see them right there, either wet and snow covered, depending on where you're looking. Those temps coming in anywhere from around 15 to nearly 20 degrees here in Metro Detroit. But that is not what it feels like. It feels like it's down in single digits. Now, a look into Southfield showing just how poor the visibility is right now under one of those heavier snow bands that's moving through. And that is the case in many communities here in Metro Detroit. A winter weather advisory is in effect now through tomorrow morning for all of us here in Southeast Michigan because of the snow and blowing snow that we're seeing. Anywhere where you see these darker colors right now, that's where the snow is more intense, and you'll see these snow showers impacting us across the region, stretching anywhere from Livingston County. We've seen that snow moving through, impacting us near Howell and Brighton. You see snow falling near Ypsilanti, going over toward Northville, and then stretching over into places like right there you see going into Genesee County and Lapeer County. We're seeing that snow falling as well. So a forewarned weather alert is in effect right now also for the snow and blowing snow. And then tonight and tomorrow morning, the dangerously cold wind chills will also become a big story. So those snow showers are moving across the region from west to east. We could see some quick accumulations, and this snow will be still happening possibly into tomorrow morning, Nick.
Really? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, Ron, thank you, sir. All right, a reminder to download that forewarned weather app. The live radar can be useful on a day like this, as well as those alerts, and an hour-by-hour forecast can get all of this right at your fingertips with that local 4 weather app. And of course, it is free. Ron is programming everything you need to know as we speak. All right, we're going to start this half hour with a live look over at downtown Detroit as Metro Detroiters celebrate a legacy that forever changed America. Today, we are diving into that remarkable journey it took to have Martin Luther King Jr. Day recognized as a federal holiday. The path to making it reality took 3 decades, including 15 years of passionate campaigning that united voices from Motown legend Stevie Wonder to the National Football League.
Now, the second thing that you can do to help us down in Alabama and Mississippi and all over the South is to work with determination to get rid of any segregation and discrimination in Detroit.
Now that was Dr. King speaking right here in Detroit at Cobo Hall in June of 1963. Months before his historic March on Washington, Dr. King led 125,000 people down Woodward in Detroit's Walk to Freedom. Now here he delivered an early version of what would become one of the most powerful speeches in American history.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Now, the journey to make today a federal holiday began in the halls of Congress, led by Detroit's own Representative John Conyers. It faced significant hurdles on Capitol Hill. In 1979, Conyers' first vote fell 5 votes short of passing. But supporters, including Detroit's own Stevie Wonder, would not give up. Wonder even created what would become an anthem for the cause in 1981.
The dream is clear as he. That day should make it become an illusion. And we all know everything that each different time will bring. Or in peace our heart will sing. Thanks to Martin Luther King. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
All right, well, Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday wasn't just a song, it was a powerful call to action. By 1983, following a remarkable petition drive gathering 6 million signatures, Congress finally passed the bill. President Ronald Reagan then signed it into law, marking a historic victory for civil rights.
We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Now, those words came from Dr. King's final speech in Memphis just one day before his assassination on April 4th, 1968. While the federal holiday was established in 1983, 15 years after his assassination, it would take until 2000 for all 50 states to recognize it. And today, our city honors the legacy of Dr. King, who became the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize for his unwavering commitment to nonviolent resistance. Across Detroit, acts of service are happening at this very moment to remember the man who gave his life for the dreams of others to come true. On this day, we remember his enduring vision of unity and equality for all, a dream that continues to inspire and challenge us to build a much better tomorrow. And there are plenty of events happening around the city to honor that legacy, including a very special day at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. This year's theme, We Who Believe in Freedom, celebrates Dr. King's commitment to justice, equality, and peace. Joining us right now is Lance Wheeler. He is the Vice President of Learning and Engagement over at the museum. First of all, thank you for skipping your breakfast to be here. I know it's a big deal as well.
Good morning, and it's no problem.
First of all, I enjoyed your nodding your head through our history lesson there, so we got everything right, I presume.
Yes, you did.
Let's just focus on today's events first. You've got a very long list, but a great lineup of things that people can do, right?
Yes. We have a long day. Today it started already at 7 o'clock. We're doing our annual breakfast. And so our keynote speaker is going to be Ambassador Attila Shabazz, and our invocation speaker is going to be Dr. Ilyasa Shabazz, the daughters of both Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz. And
how did you get them to come?
You know,
it's a big deal.
Just a little convincing, you know, just talking to them and say, hey, please come back to Detroit. You know, your family is rooted here, and I think it's going to be a special time and having them in conversation as well. Who's going to moderate that conversation is going to be Orlando Bailey.
Oh, okay, great. You know, Detroit has such a storied and such a proud history in the Black culture and Black community. You know, when you talk about like Malcolm X's daughters, I'm sure getting them here probably wasn't that difficult because we are proud. We're proud of what we've accomplished. We're proud of, not necessarily proud of where we started, but proud of where we are now.
Yes, yes. It wasn't hard. I think maybe the difficulty was the snow. But I think they were happy to come back, to be here at the right. You know, we're celebrating 60 years of existence in leading culture and having those conversations in the city of Detroit. It only made sense to bring them here to the museum for this annual MLK breakfast program.
All right, so speaking of the museum, I know you have an exhibit on Dr. King as well. It's something you can see pretty much year round, or is it just during this month?
Yeah, And Still We Rise is our core exhibition,
yeah.
and today is free to the general public all day. And also our programs are free as well as all day.
So I'm not sure how to phrase this without offending people, so I'll just say it straight out there. I don't think everyone quite understands the history that we have, especially connected to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You know, going through some of the scripts that we had read, that producer Mary put together, you know, looking at Stevie Wonder, looking at John Conyers, but even knowing that, I don't want to say practiced, but there was an early version of that speech delivered here, that's something we can be proud of.
Yes, and we should be proud of that. You know, Detroit is a city that's always been about movement, coalition building, collective action, and Dr. King's speech that led to the I Have a Dream speech is significant here in this city, and I think it couldn't have happened anywhere else but the city of Detroit.
Right. Do you think that was intentional to kind of bounce it off and see what the feedback was going to be?
Definitely.
Yeah.
At that time, before it was the largest march that was taking place before the March on Washington, right? And so I think it was really a precursor to say we could do this, and the city of Detroit showed that.
Yeah. Why do you think it took us this long to honor him properly? I know. I opened up a whole can of words.
It's a complicated question, but I think understanding the man and the legacy. I think, you know, at the point of toward the end of his life, he was not the most popular man in the country, and sadly it took until his assassination, his passing, and the work of his wife, Coretta Scott King, to actually move this forward. And so I think that is really the reason why it's taken so long. I think really truly understanding his impact across all 50 states, and so that we're still unpacking with today.
Yeah. Aside from his core message of equality, what things do you think that we can probably still do better that he was hoping that we could do?
I think understand our rights as citizens, right? I think that was key, understanding who we are as people, and then also how to be a good citizen, a good human being, I think are key values, and continuing to understand that freedom is not won just in one day. It's a continue on struggle that we have to achieve for it collectively. And that's why our theme for this year is We Who Believe in Freedom. It's a collective action.
And especially given, we keep talking about Detroit's history, Rosa Parks. I mean, there are so many people that stood up against tremendous backlash and adversity, saying that these are core civil rights, even when they weren't.
Yes, yes. And, I would say that's the significance of the museum. We are constantly educating people that is still an ongoing thing. And I have to also say Dr. Wright himself also understood that, right? That is why we have the museum. He understood how do we preserve our legacy and our stories, but then also share that to the world.
Right, right. Okay, so one more time, just go ahead and highlight today, free. Come on in, right?
Come in. It's free all day. Have fun. We're having a Hustle with History class. We're dancing and learning history.
Okay.
We have a...
Wait, Hustle with History?
Hustle History.
I love it.
Yeah, right? And so we have something called Art of a Bridge. And so we're doing an art workshop and craft where the idea, you start an individual project, but then collectively you will come together with people and then make a bigger picture, right? And so it's thinking about the movement in itself. It may start with an individual, but it really starts with a group of people, right?
Okay.
We also have a film screening from Eyes on the Prize. We're also going to have a civil rights icon named Judy Richardson. She's a former member of SNCC, and so there will be a talk about conversation with her. And Scott Benson, Councilman Scott Benson, is also launching a bike tour at the museum at 9 o'clock. People are going to actually be riding their bikes in the cold and the snow.
In this stuff?
Yes, to follow the footsteps of Dr. King and other civil rights historical moments in the city of Detroit.
That's very cool.
And that's just a list of things that are happening in the museum.
I think what you could have said is just come now and stay all day.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night. And really the evening program is called Soul of the Dream, and honoring MLK, and that's so poetry, spoken word, and music. That is a really fun event as well.
Yeah, it sounds like. Okay, Lance, thank you so much. I can't wait to see what
Thank
today
you.
looks like. Thanks, Ben. All right, a fight between a woman and her insurance company. Next, what she is saying her insurance company is doing after her car was stolen from her driveway, why they are denying that what you think would be a pretty simple claim. Welcome back, everybody. We have been covering stories of car insurance claims being denied lately, and now a new case of a Detroit woman's car was stolen out of her driveway while she was sleeping. This happened over the summer and was found to be a total loss. Now she says her insurance company is denying the claim and dropping her policy for what they are calling a misrepresentation. Here's our Kyla Russell.
On July 11th of last year, a Detroit woman was driving her car just like any other day. But on July 12th, that came to a sudden stop when her car was stolen out of her driveway and missing for days. Right here, this is ring camera video from a neighbor captured at 5:18 on the morning of the 12th. Seconds later, that's the woman's car, but she's not the one inside. Thieves had snatched the 2019 Dodge during the dark of early morning.
Open up the drapes and look outside, discover our vehicle was missing.
It was recovered 5 days later, destroyed. Of course, she filed a claim a few days after.
And I was in touch with the adjuster the entire time. The last step was to turn over the title and the key, and that was the last process. When I was getting ready to ship it to her, she told me to just pause for a few minutes there, reconsidering.
Before the reconsideration, she says Cure told her it'd be covered, valuing the car at $22,724. They even sent over this paperwork on July 31st, asking her to sign the title over. Then, a week later, on August 6th, came this letter. Cure said they had learned of misrepresentation and that she had failed to include all drivers in the household when she got her policy in November of 2024. They were canceling her policy. But the woman says she listed herself as the only driver because that's the case. She has college-aged and young adult kids, along with a recently divorced husband. She says they don't live there, but sometimes receive mail at the house. Her attorney sent a letter saying she also disclosed that other people use her address for mail purposes but did not live in the house when she was filling out paperwork after her car was stolen. They responded with this: the decision to rescind your client's policy has been upheld.
It makes me feel terrible. It makes me feel sad. It makes me feel frustrated. We already have extremely high rates in the city of Detroit, but me paying for full coverage and something happened not at my own fault, and then they renege on me. I'm frustrated.
She reached out to the state for help. They told her Cure had the right to rescind the policy if misrepresentation occurred.
I'm not the only one this is happening with, and it's frustrating.
Cure has the information about this case, and they tell me they're looking into it. Here in Detroit, I'm Kyla Russell, Local 4.
All right, Kyla, thank you. We are already feeling those bitter cold temperatures. Today, though, isn't the worst of it. A live look at producer Mary's favorite spot, Mackinac Island, right now, where it's currently 14 degrees, but feels like 4. Ron is tracking how long we're going to see these, how much longer it's going to be until it gets worse or better. Which one? Ron can tell us when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. A live look at what you can see there in Mount Zion, the UP, which really isn't too much. They are feeling the bitter cold right now. It is currently 0 degrees, but it feels like negative 22, which I don't think dangerous is even adequate right now. Those temperatures are actually what it's going to feel like tomorrow for us here in Metro Detroit. Ron Hilliard is here to kind of look at your forecast, and I don't understand where all this cold air is coming from. I'm sure you can tell me, but it's just, I know it's winter, but like negative 22 isn't winter.
Yeah. You know, it's coming from the Arctic. Yeah,
Those jerks.
Yeah, you know, they can keep it, right? So we have the cold air that is descending upon us, and then we have the gusty winds that are with us, which makes it feel even that much colder. Now, our high should be around 32 degrees. We're not going to get even close to that.
Okay.
We have a forewarned weather alert, Nick, because of the conditions that we have. The snow, the blowing snow, and unfortunately, what could potentially be dangerously cold wind chills later tonight and into tomorrow morning. A winter weather advisory for all of us through tomorrow morning as well. Here's a look into Mount Clemens. What you'll see is Cass Avenue. That's the most prominent row right there on the right side of your screen. And then the cross street there is Gratiot. You'll see that it looks mostly wet, but remember, even the wet roads can be slippery. Is that Track 30 radar showing the snow bands moving through southeast Michigan, some of these bringing some heavy snow at times. We're looking into the west side, Ann Arbor, Livingston County, snow showers moving through. We're seeing those snow showers right now impacting us in places like Redford, Livonia, and we also are seeing them downriver, Southgate, getting in on the action with the heavier snow bands as well. Moving toward the north, you'll see along 696 those snow bands impacting us, and along I-94 stretching into Macomb County and St. Clair County. We along that I-94 corridor will see the conditions deteriorating rapidly, poor visibility, and accumulation occurring quickly as well with that intense snowfall. So a look at the bigger picture all across lower Michigan, we're getting that snow, but as you go over toward West Michigan, it is even worse. Those traditional snow belts will be picking up several inches of snow. Clouds and radar forecast for us here in Metro Detroit. Snow showers all throughout the day, and at times, some of these snow bands could bring heavy snow. And that will be what is going to be most problematic for people that have to drive today. Thankfully, a lot of schools are closed. And also, a lot of people have the day off of work as well. Wind chills are going to be the big story, but I do want to just show you the actual air temps. Right now, we're seeing readings in the teens, but the wind chill values are down around 0. Some of us down below 0 already. It feels like -1 in Howell right now, -2 in Ann Arbor and in Flint. Now, the wind chills will continue to drop as we go into the nighttime hours. We'll be in the afternoon, already feeling like -5. By tomorrow morning, if you do have to take your child to school or if you have to head out to work, be prepared for the cold. Wind chills down to 15 below and in some cases even 20 below 0. While the air temps remain pretty much steady through the afternoon hours and into the early evening, the wind chill will drop further because the winds will be increasing. We'll see some of those sustained winds out of the west up to 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Getting into the overnight hours, that's when we see some of the worsening conditions, Nick. Right now, we're going to see cold weather today, cold tomorrow, seeing some improvement as we go into the afternoon hours on Wednesday, but then going into the weekend, we're getting cold once again. So we're into this cold stretch and hopefully it improves.
So with the snow coming tonight and a little bit tomorrow morning, and then wind chills being what they are, that's going to be a real problem for road crews because the salt is not going to work at all, right?
That's right. Well, you know, very minimally. You'll have some of that salt working, but you're going to have to use that much more.
Right.
And yes, that's the case, that the salt becomes less effective. And then not only do we have that issue, but you have the blowing snow because of the winds.
Right,
so they clear the snow and it blows right back onto the roadway.
Gosh, okay. So just hunker down, stay inside tonight then.
Yes. Good advice. I love it.
Ron, thanks, man.
Detroit basketball. Hey, it's Mason. Catch me Monday live in the D. Oh, this you gotta see.
Well, Mason said it. If he said it, it's the truth. Pistons PA announcer Mason is joining the Live in the D team as Tati Kim and the team broadcast live from Little Caesars Arena. The show is going to feature the Pistons dance team and exciting dunks from the Extreme team and a few other surprises as well. You can consider that our pregame coverage of the Detroit Pistons taking on the Boston Celtics tonight after Live in the D. Be sure to watch Local 4 News at noon, also live from LCA, as we bring you even more pre-game information and content. The Pistons and the Celtics are a finale of an NBA tripleheader beginning at 2:30 today. You can see the schedule there, so that means our shows, our newscasts at 4, 5, and 6 are only going to be right here on Local 4 Plus. All right, for our next Go Forward event, we are raising readers. Local 4 is teaming up with the Reach Out and Read Michigan team, collecting new books for children ages up to 5. We're going to be at the Southfield Library this Wednesday from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. We'll take any new children's book, but you can also scan that QR code there at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen to see their full recommended list, or you can make a donation right now. All right. We have another hour of Local 4 Live coming your way. Rana's going to continue to track those bitter cold temps for us. We'll also take a look at the future of the auto industry right here in Michigan.
Local 4 News starts now with a forewarned weather alert.
And we have that forewarned weather alert because of the dangerous temperatures on the way and potential for blowing snow as well. A live look at 696 in Southfield, where it appears to be okay, but the side streets likely covered in snow again because we got a fresh coating overnight. In Southfield right now, it's 18 degrees. However, it feels like 5. And over in Wayne County, a live look at Metro Airport. I think you used to be able to see Metro Airport, but not so much anymore. 18 degrees there, feels like 2, and it's going to get even colder tonight into tomorrow. Over Macomb County, a live look at Mount Clemens. You can see Cass there at Gratiot, 19 degrees, but feels like 5 there as well. I do want to bring in forward meteorologist Ron Hilliard, who has been staying on top of all this for us. The story is about blowing snow. It's about temperatures. It's about school closings. A lot of things kind of happening all at the same time.
It is, and it's a really good thing that there's a lot of school closings already because of the holiday today. But we may see some closings tomorrow as well, Nick, just because of those cold wind chills that you mentioned. We have the forewarned weather alert that is in effect now through tomorrow morning. That's for the blowing snow, and dangerously cold wind chills. What's the difference between snow and blowing snow? Well, the snow is coming down from the sky. That blowing snow, it's getting picked up from the ground. And it's because it's this fine and powdery snow, and that's contributing to some reduced visibility. During the same time frame, we do have a winter weather advisory for us here in Southeast Michigan going through tomorrow morning. Again, that's for all of us here in Southeast Michigan. Another look into Mount Clemens. Visibility has improved, but some of these road conditions may still be poor. We have these snow showers moving through right now, and some of them bringing some heavy snow. As we get closer, you'll see some of these snow showers impacting us in Plymouth and Northville. We're also seeing them right now in Troy. If you're driving or have to drive along I-75, you could see impacts. Hamtramck driving through northwest Detroit and going over toward Roseville, Warren. We have heavy snow moving through right now, so if you have to drive along I-96, the Lodge, 696, 75, I-94, these are stretches that you will see impacts, potentially seeing some slick conditions and as well as slow travel. As we go throughout the day, we're going to be seeing these temps dropping. The wind chill values are going to be down into the single digits and even below zero, Nick.
Yeah. All right, Ron, thank you. That's exactly why the temperatures are, with the temperatures dropping, that the cities around Metro Detroit are racing to make sure no one is left out in the cold. Detroit has declared a cold weather health emergency to keep residents safe, working with the Detroit Rescue Mission to offer overnight shelters through Wednesday afternoon. The Pope Francis Center on Hancock Street will open tonight at 5 p.m. for single adults, closing Wednesday at noon. Now, since it's MLK Day, most recreation centers are closed except for Adams Butzel and the Coleman A. Young Center, which will remain open. Anybody can access temporary shelters by walking in, or you can call the 24/7 Detroit Housing Resource Helpline. That number is on your screen, 866-313-2520. We also have a list of the warming centers that are open on our website at clickondetroit.com. And if you're out driving today, make sure your car is ready just in case. Have a full tank of gas, some warm clothes, blankets, definitely a phone charger as well. And now would be a great time, if you haven't already done it, to download that Forewarn weather app. The live radar can be useful on a day like this with alerts and an hour-by-hour forecast. You can get all of this with that Local 4 weather app, and it's free. Just search WDIV in your app store. Let's get your headlines on this Monday, starting overseas, where at least 39 people have died in a train crash in Spain, with rescuers still searching for survivors in the wreckage you're looking at right now. The train was a new model and was going nearly 200 miles an hour when it derailed and slammed into another train. Rescuers fear more people could be trapped beneath the train cars. Right now, 73 people are in the hospital with injuries. No word on how this happened just yet. An 18-year-old is accused of making violent threats to an Ann Arbor elementary school. Friday afternoon, police say the teen made threats with a gun during dismissal time over at Hazley Elementary. Police arrested this teen at his home. Now he's getting medical treatment. Formal charges of making terroristic threats are expected sometime this week. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald is facing serious allegations. She is accused of breaking court and professional rules in the prosecution of the Crumbley parents. The Michigan Attorney Grievance Commission is investigating claims filed by another attorney, a prominent one, accusing McDonald of putting winning ahead of justice and using the case to boost her political career. Legal experts point to her allowing a documentary crew full access despite a gag order and giving multiple media interviews before and during the trials. McDonald is running for Attorney General, and she calls these claims a political attack, and her office stands by the guilty verdicts against both parents. A live look at the White House right now, where the Trump administration is defending the president's proposed tariffs against 8 European countries, close allies who oppose his plan to buy Greenland. The president announced a 10% tariff that could rise to 25% in June if no deal is reached to purchase that Danish territory. As Alice Barr reports, Democrats are criticizing the move, calling it a land grab aimed at Greenland's mineral resources.
Hi there. Lawmakers in both parties have raised questions about the grounds for imposing these new tariffs to compel a land sale. Asked on NBC's Meet the Press what national emergency justifies the move, the Treasury Secretary argued they're aimed at avoiding an emergency. This morning, the world responding to President Trump's escalating pressure campaign to take control of Greenland, where protesters took to the streets.
I think he can scare people. He can't scare Greenlanders.
While European allies push back against the president's announcement of a new 10% tariff on goods from Denmark and 7 other countries, ramping up to 25% by June, until the Danes agree to sell their territory of Greenland to the U.S. European ambassadors holding an emergency meeting in Brussels, saying the tariff threats risk a dangerous downward spiral in relations, while the Danish prime minister said, quote, Europe will not be blackmailed. President Trump is adamant the U.S. needs to own Greenland for national security.
If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome.
A reference there to the missile defense system the president wants to build to guard against any air attacks. Critics noting the U.S. already has a military base in Greenland.
Denmark and Greenland have both said to the United States, you can take what measures you need to protect the security of the United States and, of course, the NATO alliance.
Instead, calling the push a land grab for Greenland's critical minerals. The Treasury Secretary rejects that.
He's looking beyond this year, he's looking beyond next year to what could happen for a battle in the Arctic. We are not going to outsource our national security.
A high-stakes back and forth sending tensions rising with American allies. President Trump posted late last night that NATO has been telling Denmark for 20 years to get the Russian threat away from Greenland, adding now it will be done. That as leaders of Denmark and Greenland are due to meet today with NATO's Secretary General, who President Trump also spoke with. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Well, today the nation is remembering Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with events happening around Metro Detroit. In Detroit, St. Matthew's and St. Joseph's Episcopal Church holding its 23rd annual rally starting at noon with music and speakers, followed by a community meal at 2 p.m. In Southfield, the 41st annual MLK Peace Walk is getting started right now at the United Methodist Church with a program at 11 a.m. at the Southfield Pavilion. This year's theme is Crafting the Dream in a Peaceful and Sustainable World Rooted in Dignity, Democracy, and Nonviolence. Well, still ahead, it is one of the biggest weeks of the year for the auto industry in Metro Detroit. While the auto show is happening at Huntington Place, we're talking about the future of the industry with the governor when we come back. It is expected to be a very cold week here in Metro Detroit, so why not do something fun inside? It's a perfect time to go check out the Detroit Auto Show with some of the coolest cars, plus some fun experiences for families. Families can ride in Ford Broncos at Bronco Mountain or the Jeeps over at Camp Jeep. There's also a new family fun experience as well with the help of the Michigan Science Center. Tickets are $25 for adults, and if you have a family, they've got a family pass for $60 that gets 2 adults and 3 kids in the door. Hours for the auto show are 10 until 8 every day until the final day, which is the 25th. And because it's Auto Show Week, why not hear about the industry as a whole? On Flashpoint, Jason Colthorpe sat down with a roundtable of auto experts to talk about the future of this industry.
It's Auto Show Week, so why not talk about the industry with our auto experts? The executive director from Mish Auto, Glenn Stevens, is with us. Sam Abel-Samad is the VP of Market Research with Telemetry, and Joanne Muller is the transportation correspondent with Axios. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Let's start here. Glenn, I'll start with you. The president here this week talking about tariffs. Well, he's not been shy about saying tariffs are working, tariffs are great. The governor taking a different tack, which we're going to hear later in this program, that tariffs are awful for the Michigan automakers right now. Does it fall somewhere in the middle?
Somewhere in the middle. Since January 20th of last year, the America First Trade Policy Act, we've been going through a lot. No question that costs have increased. Consumers haven't felt it yet, but the industry has, and they've absorbed that for the most part. We have a lot to shake out still, particularly with USMCA.
Sam, what do you think? Plus, it doesn't seem like the CEOs of the companies are all that upset right now.
So far, they've been able to manage things. After an initial flurry of tariffs, there was a bit of pullback with anything that was USMCA compliant being given a break and being cut from some of the tariffs. But there's still additional costs for the industry, and they've been pushing towards more premium models and also hiding some of the cost increases, especially through things like destination charges, which, for example, on full-size trucks have gone from $19.95 a year ago to $2,600 now. And that's, if you go in, dive in deep, you'll see that across most vehicles. The destination charges have gone up by about $400 to $600 over the last year.
Joanne?
Well, Sam is right. What's happening is people with money are willing to pay that much for a truck. They don't mind the $2,600 charge because they're already paying $80,000 for a pickup truck. What's very interesting, though, I think, you asked about what the car makers think about this. The tariffs have been offset by other changes, regulatory changes that have really helped them a lot. And basically, they have carte blanche now to sell as many gasoline-powered vehicles as they want, and that means more profit. And so they're not complaining as much about the tariffs.
And from the outside, you might think that when the goalposts kind of keep changing, a huge corporation can't just pivot like that, but you're saying the goalposts are working in their favor at the moment.
On balance, yes, exactly.
For the moment.
For the moment, yeah. But where do we stand on EVs? Who wants to jump in here when we talk? Because you kind of alluded to it. They've been given the carte blanche to go all gas now, or as much as they want. But EVs seem to have been falling by the wayside.
Yeah, so end of September, we lost the federal EV tax credits. Right. And that had already been, in a lot of ways, scaled back significantly because of the IRA anyway. So it made it tougher for import vehicles to claim those. But in Q4, we did see the expected fall off in EV sales because there was also a pull ahead of sales in September in the third quarter as people rushed to claim the tax credits on a bunch of EVs. We will probably continue to see some slackening of EV sales for the next quarter or two, but I think as we get towards the second half of the year, we're going to start to see some pickup again in EV sales because we're starting to get more affordable EVs coming to market. The new Nissan Leaf is out there now for under $30,000 for 300 miles of range. The new Chevy Bolt's coming out towards the end of the year, beginning of next year. Ford's launching their universal EV platform. So you're going to see more affordable EVs in the marketplace, which to people that want an EV but couldn't manage it before without the tax credits, now they've got some options.
I think it was kind of shocking to see the lightning stop production, and maybe it was just too expensive. Glenn, let me bring you in here and ask about the competition right now. I think a lot of people watching that China-Canada kind of what's happening with those two countries right now.
Well, it's fluid. There are so many dynamics going on right now. We talk a lot about China. There's no question that it's here. It's spreading around the world. And it's not just the scale, it's the speed of innovation. Jim Farley talks about that a lot. But what we just saw in the last 24 hours is an agreement between Canada and China to lower tariffs on EVs. So now we will not only see EVs in Mexico, we will see EVs start to proliferate from China in Canada. And we were talking earlier, the question is there an assembly plant behind that? Could be. Very, very big development.
It doesn't feel like it's good news for the Detroit automakers.
It's going to be tough because now you've got multiple challenges. You've got the U.S. automakers increasingly building vehicles that certainly outside of North America that nobody wants. They don't want big V8 powered pickup trucks. You're never going to sell F-150s in Japan. But you've also got the other countries, our traditional trading partners like Canada and Mexico, being turned off by U.S. policies, and especially Canada with the talk of, Canada becoming the 51st state. A lot of Canadians don't want to buy American products anymore. So the U.S. market is getting increasingly isolated, and if they've got other options, they're probably going to go for them.
Joanne, let me ask you this, and everybody react to this. This was a quote from September in Automotive News, but making long-term product decisions in the murkiness of today's climate requires mapping out multiple scenarios. We're kind of touching on it here, but how do you think the big three have done that, mapping out multiple scenarios?
Well, I think they've done relatively well because they have no choice, right? But when you have these gigantic policy swings, this whiplash, there's a lot of money wasted, right? And so you just saw GM and Ford both have enormous write-offs, $19.5 billion, I believe, at Ford. GM was $6 and more to come. That is wasted investment, right? So we need some consistency in policy. But our country is very divided, and our policies are divided. And so the automakers are doing the best they can. But if you look back at General Motors as an example, 5 years ago, GM said it was going to have, I forget the number now.
Targeting 50% EVs by 2030.
Yeah, 50% EVs by 2030. And they're nowhere near that.
Yeah.
Here's the key, and Joanne touched on that, and a quote another Ford executive, Bill Ford, said this week, political lead times are a lot shorter than our lead times. And these switches and these moves on policy, on regulation, which we're dealing with right now. I mean, what we saw transpire with trade, with CAFE, with fuel economy, EV incentive, all in the course of 12 months, you have to be prepared for that. But having a change in the next administration, and that goes on a state level too.
Yep.
That's very difficult
for
these companies.
Less than a minute. Let me get a quick prediction from each of you. Your biggest concern, or maybe a prediction for the next 5 years. Glenn, go right down the table.
That we're not taking a short view. We have to take a long view. And this market is global still. The competition's global, and Michigan has to have a long view. And all our companies do, but we as a state and policymakers have to.
Sam?
I think one area that we're going to start to see a lot of growth in the next few years is in automated driving. We've seen a lot of automakers announce plans for hands-off, eyes-off, level 3 systems coming in 2028. So that's going to be a big change as well.
Last 10 seconds, Joanne.
I think affordability is the issue for the foreseeable future. Watch the used car market. It's going to become very important.
All right. Always appreciate your time and your insight.
All right, you can watch that entire episode of Flashpoint here on Local 4 Plus and click on Detroit.com. Jason also had a really good conversation with Governor Whitmer at the auto show. You can watch that as well. Well, we are in the middle of a forewarned weather alert on a bitterly cold Monday, but the temperatures are going to drop even more. Ron Hilliard back after the break with How Low Can We Go? Well, we are in this forewarned weather alert with dangerous temperatures about to impact all of Metro Detroit. We're not the only ones, though. You're looking live at Duluth, Minnesota right now, where the actual temperature is -11. That's the actual temperature. The feels like close to -30. Ron Hilliard is here to look at our forecast. I think there are some days we could start to feel pretty close to that.
Yes, in fact, tomorrow morning we will feel a lot closer.
Give me
to
more
that.
time to prepare.
You know, if you have some really heavy gear, if you have maybe some thermal underclothes, you want to make sure you can pull those out for tomorrow morning. We have a forewarned weather alert declared for today through tomorrow morning for the blowing snow and dangerously cold wind chills. And we also have a winter weather advisory for us here in Southeast Michigan. That's for all of us until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We will see concerns of snow and blowing snow. And right now, as you look downtown at Huntington Place, you'll notice that visibility is reduced. The snow is coming down. But if you want to get out today and, you know, enjoy your day off, maybe go ahead and go downtown or go to one of the events that are observing Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Road conditions right now, we have snow-covered roads, we have slick conditions, and we have that blowing snow reducing visibility. So you'll want to make sure you're allowing extra time and taking it slow once you do get out on the roads. Snow showers moving from west to east here in Metro Detroit. And what you'll notice is that we have the snow right now, a big area of snow that is centered over Detroit. That's stretching anywhere from around 696 as you go into southern Oakland and Macomb counties, stretching into northwest Detroit, the east side, downtown, and going downriver, even some of these snow showers impacting us. Now, this snow is bringing some reduced visibility, some heavy snowfall. We're picking up a very quick dusting to even a ½ inch of snow out of this. These snow showers will be continuing throughout the morning and throughout the entire day, even into tomorrow morning. Some of these showers could bring heavy snow as we're seeing right now, and we're looking at the potential for anywhere from about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of snow picking up later on through tomorrow morning. So right now we're seeing these temps coming in around 19 in Mount Clemens, 14 for us in Pontiac, and the wind chill values are down to 0 and below. It feels like 4 below 0 right now in Ann Arbor. And as I mentioned, as you've been talking about, Nick, we'll see these wind chill values going even lower as we go into tomorrow morning. It could be as low as 19 below 0 in the thumb. And we're going to be seeing this cold air sticking around even throughout the day tomorrow as well. So 19 is our high. The wind chills will be in the single digits. If you're headed to LCA, to Huntington Place, or anywhere here in Metro Detroit, you'll want to make sure that you're bundled up, properly dressed, having gloves and a hat and a scarf as well. So we will start to see some improvement as we go into our day Wednesday. That's in the afternoon hours, but we'll be starting off in the morning on Wednesday in the single digits as well. And then we have another round of snow coming Wednesday morning. So we do have some improvement in the forecast, but between now and Wednesday morning, it's going to be kind of messy here.
This is when it gets tough because you want to bundle up if you're going to be outside, but they don't want to carry your jacket and scarves and gloves around the auto show.
That's true. That is very true. And another thing, for me personally, I don't want to be bundled up while I'm driving as well.
All right, me too.
It's uncomfortable. It's not easy. So
you have to shut it off before you can crank the heat.
Exactly.
And then put it back out before we go back outside.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
All right, Ron, thanks, dude. Still ahead, a Detroit broadcasting legend taking a leave of absence because of a health issue. And if you need to fill up your gas tank, prepare to pay some more. We're going to show you the prices and why they're going up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Michigan gas prices are up 15 cents. The price for a gallon of regular gas is still under $3. That's up from 1 month ago, though, but lower than this time last year. The average driver is spending about $44 to fill up a 15-gallon tank. This week is National Passenger Safety Week. According to AAA, passengers play a role in about 24% of deadly car crashes nationwide. AAA is urging riders to speak up if they notice a driver speeding, distracted, or under the influence of drugs or alcohol. You can help limit distractions by handling the GPS or the messages, or just continue to grab your door handle and grasp when you see brake lights a half mile up the road. You have to start braking right now. Okay. An Ann Arbor woman says hundreds vanished from a $300 Visa gift card she bought over at Kroger. Christine Anderson checked the balance in the store. It briefly showed the funds and then disappeared. Visa confirmed the money was gone. Anderson says she knew the risk with these types of cards, though took all the right steps. Anderson immediately told store management and returned the next day to warn other shoppers.
I just went over to the little rack where you get the cards and I grabbed one, and I remember hearing stories of don't ever take the first or second one, dig to the back. So I dug to the back. As I hit refresh the second or third time, all the funds were gone, and it said the money was transferred to DraftKings in Boston.
Now, we did reach out to both Kroger and Visa over the weekend. We haven't heard back just yet. If we do, we'll update the story over on clickondetroit.com. Still ahead, it feels like it's below 15 degrees overnight, so that's why we're in a forewarned weather alert on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day with a live look over at DTW. What you can expect when you walk outside and where to go if you need to get out of this bitter cold. Some warming shelters when we come back.
Local 4 News starts now with a forewarned weather alert.
And we're staying on top of this forewarned weather alert. Welcome back to another half hour of Local 4 Live. I'm sure you woke up to a fresh coating of snow on your car, on the driveway, and the roads as you're heading out and about. It's the temperatures, though, that we're really watching right now. In Detroit, as you can see, feels like 18. I'm sorry, it is 18, but it feels like 4 with those ice chunks flowing down the Detroit River. And in the thumb, wind chills could approach below 20 degrees overnight and early tomorrow morning. A live look right now in Caseville. It is very, very frozen, Caseville. We're going to start this half hour with the man of the hour. Ron Hilliard is here, the forewarned meteorologist, looking at the temperatures, the wind chills. And you were talking earlier about how this is like a 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of sock and punches. You've got the temperatures, you've got snow, you've got the blowing snow that's going to cover the roads again after the crews plow it. So just stay at home, put a Snuggie on, make some hot chocolate, watch a movie.
That is a great summary of what we should be doing. I love it. Because the thing is, those impacts that you've mentioned, Nick, they're going to be causing an effect on all of us. If we're driving, we're going to be having the slippery roads. If we're walking outside, we have the cold wind chills. No matter what we're doing, we're going to be having these impacts. Right. So here's a look into Southfield 696. While it doesn't look horrible, it's not completely snow covered, you'll also see some of that, those grooves, those little lanes right there that are made out of the snow. Well, across Southeast Michigan, even while the main roads and the freeways will be in better condition, the side streets will still be compromised. We still have snow on a lot of them. So right now here in Metro Detroit, we're under the winter weather advisory for all of us going until 10 o'clock in the morning. And when it comes to what we're seeing on the Zach Track 40 radar, we still have these snow showers impacting us across the region. Narrowing in and zooming in on Detroit, you'll see snow showers impacting us, Hamtramck, Highland Park. As we go into Warren, also downriver, River Rouge, Ecorse, we're seeing those snow showers right now, and we're seeing reduced visibility and minor accumulations. And remember, it is cold, Nick. Snowy and cold. The story for today.
And as you were talking about earlier, this 4-1 weather alert, not necessarily because of the snow, it's more because of not just temperatures, but dangerous temperatures.
Yes, and the combination, the compounding effects of all of this. Right. You have the low temps, and then you have the salt not working as well, so conditions could be more slick. So it's that recipe of just messy weather in a bowl of soup that is unwanted, you know?
All right. Ron, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. As you know, it has been a just awful morning when you look out, and it's so cold outside that cities across Metro Detroit are racing to make sure nobody is left out in the cold. As Shante Passmore shows us, there are a number of options for those of you looking for some shelter from this cold.
Hey guys, right now there's a big push for people to take this dangerously cold weather very serious, and here's partly why. So the billboard right here, it's showing that it's about 20 degrees, but we know, of course, that only tells part of the story because that doesn't take into consideration the feels like temp, and that is why the city went ahead and issued a cold weather health emergency. So what that means is the city of Detroit is working with the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries to offer overnight shelters now through Wednesday afternoon. Pope Francis Center on Hancock Street has a standby shelter for single adults that will open tonight at 5 and close on Wednesday at noon. And then, of course, with today being MLK Day, most of the city's rec centers that would normally be available are going to be closed. But there are some exceptions. That includes Adams Butzel Complex and the Coleman A. Young Recreation Center, which are both scheduled to remain open this Monday. The city also says anyone can access the temporary overnight standby shelters anytime by walking in or by calling the 24/7 Detroit Housing Resource Helpline. That number right now, 866-313-2520. And with today, of course, being a holiday, we know lots of folks have the day off. You're probably going to be out and about. A couple of safety tips you want to remember, folks. Make sure that your ride's good to go, meaning you've got a full tank of gas here. And then also, if you need an emergency kit, you might need a blanket. In this case, I've got a serape, some extra warm clothing, and then also a phone charger battery pack that could come in handy. We're in Detroit. I'm Shante Passmore, Local 4.
All right, Shante, thank you much. And this is a good time to remind you can download that Forewarn weather app. The live radar can be very useful on a day like today. You also get alerts and an hour-by-hour forecast. All of it with that Local 4 weather app. It is free in your app store. In other news this Monday, tensions continue to rise in Minneapolis after an ICE agent shot and killed a woman. The Pentagon has put some active duty troops on standby in case the president wants to send them to Minnesota. That's according to 2 U.S. officials. Last week, President Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in response to protesters. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry is insisting the city is safe. This all follows the shooting of Renee Good by an ICE officer. Well, protesters have gathered outside the Whipple building in Minneapolis to protest ICE. The federal facility is serving as the local headquarters while immigration enforcement efforts are underway. Detroit Red Wings legend and broadcaster Mickey Redmond is taking a medical leave of absence. Last night was his last game before undergoing surgery to address chronic neck issues. In a post on X, Mickey says, "It's been an incredible season so far in Hockeytown, and I'm looking forward to being back behind the microphone for our exciting playoff run." The Wings have 8 games left before the NHL breaks for the Olympics. Mickey is scheduled to return sometime after that.
I have a dream My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Well, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day to remember the most iconic civil rights leader in American history. There are plenty of events happening around our city to honor his legacy, including a special day at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. This year's theme, We Who Believe in Freedom, celebrating Dr. King's commitment to justice, equality, and peace. In the last hour, I talked to Lance Wheeler. He is the Vice President of Learning and Engagement at the Wright Museum.
We have a long day. Today it started already at 7 o'clock. We're doing our annual breakfast. And so our keynote speaker is going to be Ambassador Attila Shabazz, and our invocation speaker is going to be Dr. Ilyasa Shabazz, the daughters of both Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz. And
how did you get them to come?
You know,
it's a big deal.
Just a little convincing, you know, just talking to them and say, hey, please come back to Detroit. You know, your family is rooted here, and I think it's going to be a special time and having them in conversation as well. Who's going to moderate that conversation is going to be Orlando Bailey.
Oh, okay, great. You know, Detroit has such a storied and such a proud history in the Black culture and Black community. You know, when you talk about like Malcolm X's daughters, I'm sure getting them here probably wasn't that difficult because we are proud. We're proud of what we've accomplished. We're proud of, not necessarily proud of where we started, but proud of where we are now.
Yes, yes. It wasn't hard. I think maybe the difficulty was the snow. But I think they were happy to come back, to be here at the Wright. You know, we're celebrating 60 years of existence in leading culture and having those conversations in the city of Detroit. It only made sense to bring them here to the museum.
And you can see that full interview right now over at clickondetroit.com and on Local 4's YouTube page. Still ahead, have you already given up on your New Year's resolution and you're really starting to feel the sick and tired of the gloomy January weather? Today is Blue Monday, known as one of the most depressing days of the year. We're talking to an expert to help you get out of that slump. Welcome back. Today is Blue Monday, also known as one of the most depressing days of the year. It typically falls on the third Monday in January. Blue Monday is not based on science whatsoever, though, but the idea does resonate with people. Earlier, we talked to Carrie Craywick, a licensed marriage and family therapist over at the Birmingham Maple Clinic in Troy. She says the snap back to reality after the holidays, especially after spending time with friends and family, can be hard on people.
Social connection is really, really, really good for our mental health. So it's one of the features of a mentally well person is being connected socially. And so when we feel disconnected socially, when we feel loneliness, it is going to contribute to depression, anxiety, and lower mood.
Okay, so now that we know all these things and how they are real factors, whether or not Blue Monday itself is real, what can we do about them? Because they are real problems.
Well, I love, Blue Monday itself started in the UK, but like you said, here in the United States, today is in fact a holiday. And there's a real opportunity here that some of the things that are actually good to do on MLK Day are also very good for your mental health. For one, contributing to volunteering and in your community helps to boost mental health by giving people a state of purpose. It helps to connect to other members of the community with like interests. It gives just the release of dopamine by doing something good. And you can start small, do things in your home to create donations and organize will help boost your mood. Obviously, to get involved in a group, to learn something, to spend the day, especially any day that's kind of snowy and stuck at home, to read, to engage in a topic that's meaningful to you, and in ways to really embrace it. The Danish countries kind of have a special word for this year that means coziness, and it's really about finding gratitude and saying, wow, how lucky are we to have this time to hunker down, to engage in our interests, to read, to be slow, and finding the sort of the beauty and the positivity in that time.
It's funny you say that, because my next question for you was going to be about the effects of seclusion and feeling isolated. But it sounds like in some cultures we embrace it.
Sure, most things when it comes to our mood are really about a state of mind. And if you can find gratitude and positivity, even in what seemingly is negative, and really making the most of it is going to do wonders for your mood.
Interesting. Okay, so I know we're not technically talking about Blue Monday connected to seasonal depression, but I think there are similar types of factors, and especially how you feel in your mood. This time of year, especially when you've got weather like this where you really shouldn't be outside and it's just cloudy for weeks on end, that is a real factor and a real problem, isn't it?
Sure, absolutely. But whatever sun you can get is better than none at all. So, making an effort when you wake up in the morning to say, for example, open your blinds or have your morning cup of coffee or tea near a window. You can do things, maybe even parking, although it's cold, parking slightly farther away from the building and walking in. You can do very small things to improve, one, how much sunlight you're getting, and two, to improve your mood, even how much movement you're getting. Like you said, not only do we not get very much sunlight this time of year, we don't get very much movement, which is also good for our dopamine. So if it's doing a video from your home, like a YouTube video or something on exercise, or taking the stairs more often at your workplace or something, finding ways to incorporate just a little bit of light, a little bit of movement, and even, like I said before, when volunteering, a little bit of contribution to your community, even just a small random act of kindness, like holding the door open for someone, can do a wonder for your mood and theirs.
You talked about the light, and I've seen lots of things about these UV lights that mimic sunlight. Do those actually work?
Certainly, there are small, medium, and large ways you can go to clinics or facilities and get some kind of light therapy. You can buy something on Amazon. I can't speak to how all of them work, but there are benefits. But just doing your research and finding reputable resources to know which is the best piece of equipment for you.
Kremek also talked about social media and loneliness. She explained it's great to connect with people online, but it's still important to reach out to others in person when you're feeling disconnected. Well, don't let the light snow fool you. Snow squalls could drop visibility very fast. Next, Ron is going to track when strong winds will blow snow back onto the roads here across Metro Detroit, including 696 in Southfield. Welcome back. We are taking you around Michigan as Metro Detroit remains in a forewarned weather alert. A live look in Traverse City right now where the snow is really coming down. They are under a winter storm warning with up to 9 inches of snow expected there. Good news, we're not expecting that much snow here at home, but you're talking about 1 inch or so, plus the blowing wind moving the snow across the streets. Plus the temperatures, it's just not good to be outside.
It's not. You know, this is one of those days where if you don't have to be on the road, it's best just to stay inside, as you mentioned, Nick. And the thing is, the more people that are out on the roads, it also makes it a little bit more difficult for the crews to clear out these roads as well. Traditionally, when you do have traffic, the salt is able to work a little bit better usually, but by being so cold, that is not going to be a factor, really. Right now, we're having snow showers moving through. We have the cold temps. We have windy conditions as well for the snow and the blowing snow. We're under a winter weather advisory until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for all of us here in Southeast Michigan. A look into downtown Detroit toward the Foxtown district. You'll see Woodward snow is coming down, impacting us. The side streets are something you really want to be careful of. Road conditions, if they're not treated, they will be in poor condition and snow covered, and it is going to be a lot harder to treat these roads because the salt becomes a lot less effective when we have temps in the teens. We are seeing those snow showers still impacting us moving across Southeast Michigan. Right now, we're still seeing some of the snow more moderate and heavy as we go into Detroit, Hamtramck, going into the Grosse Pointe, Harper Woods, and going into St. Clair Shores. Let's travel to the north. We'll see snow coming down in Rochester Hills, going into Washington Township, Macomb Township, Shelby Township, Utica, Romeo, Armada. We're getting some of these snow showers and moving to St. Clair County, Marine City, seeing some snow showers right now, and we'll continue to see them throughout the day. Temps coming in right now anywhere from the mid-teens to near 20 degrees, but what it feels like is a lot lower. It feels like it's below zero in many communities here in Metro Detroit, including Romulus and Pontiac, Waterford. We all feel like we're down to 3 below zero. Same for us in the vehicle city in Flint. Wind chills will be dropping later on. While the air temps remain near steady, the wind picks up, and that's the reason the wind chill gets lower. And tonight, it's going to get down to around -10 for the wind chill, and by the morning, it's going to feel like it's 15 to even 20 below zero, especially some of the colder spots in the thumb. We're going to see these temps again holding pretty much steady in the afternoon hours. Windy, snowy, and cold. Those are some of those 3 ideas and words you need to keep in mind as you're preparing and planning for today. We start off tomorrow, chilly, cold, with those wind chills that are as low as 20 below zero, only warming up for the actual air temp to about 15. And then tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, still cold with actual air temps down in the single digits before things warm up in the afternoon into the 30s, back to normal. But on Wednesday, as you see that icon there, we're going to have a chance of some snow showers as well for Wednesday morning.
So just miserable is what you're
miserable
saying?
for these next few days.
All right, thanks, Ron. An NBA tripleheader wrapping up today. Next, what's ahead on Live at the D as they take their show on the road live to LCA as the Pistons get ready to take on the Celtics right here on Local 4.
Detroit basketball. Hey, it's Mason. Catch me Monday live in the D. Oh, this you gotta see.
Well, he said it. You got to see it. Pistons PA announcer Mason joining live in the D this morning as Tati, Kim, and the team broadcast live from Little Caesars Arena. That's what I call the Slice. The show is going to be featuring the Pistons dance team, exciting dunks from the Extreme team, and plenty of other surprises. You should consider this our pregame coverage of the Detroit Pistons taking on the Boston Celtics after Live in the D. Our show at noon is going to be live from LCA as well as we bring you even more pregame information. The Pistons and Celtics are in the finale of an NBA triple header beginning at 2:30, so you can see the schedule there. That means that our shows at 4, 5, and 6 will only be here on Local 4 Plus. Well, for our next Go For It event, we are raising readers. Local 4 teaming up with Reach Out and Read Michigan, collecting new books for children age up to 5. We're going to be at the Southfield Library this Wednesday from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. We will take any new children's book, but if you scan that QR code there on your screen, you'll see their full recommended list, or you can make a donation right now as well. Well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and in a small town in South Carolina, one man is making it his personal mission to ensure African-American history in the state will be able to speak for itself forever. NBC News' Marquise Francis has that story.
Cecil Williams has captured decades of history.
I remember me begging my mother for a camera that was advertised in Sears Roebuck. It cost $75.
The 87-year-old photographer documented the civil rights movement in South Carolina. A tapestry of time. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King, Jesse Jackson, Thurgood Marshall. His images all displayed here in a museum he opened with his wife in Orangeburg, which he plans to expand soon.
Civil rights and the pursuit for freedom, justice, and equality really started much earlier here in South Carolina, and I am an eyewitness to that.
In 1951, Williams photographed Briggs versus Elliott, the first case that challenged segregation in the state's public schools, a precursor to Brown versus Board of Education. And these are the shell casings from the 1968 Orangeburg Massacre, where police officers killed 3 student protesters on a college campus.
What do you feel like is the power of an image and the power of photography?
I think that the power of photography is often overlooked. It imitates life to the fullest, to see what an image is all about, and so it has that power and that capacity to tell a story much quicker.
Williams is also an activist, pictured here in 1956 drinking from a whites-only water fountain when he was 25 years old.
This was not the first time that I, you might say, defied the laws and the regulations that were in a small town.
That image resonating with a new generation. Williams invited to New York Fashion Week, all part of a larger lesson.
Whenever hate comes along, just in general, period, it's not sustainable. It's something that's against mankind, and it won't last.
Meaningful moments, now forever on display. Marquise Francis, NBC News, Orangeburg, South Carolina.
And that's going to do it for us here at Local 4 Live. More news and weather ahead here on Local 4 Plus, and always at clickondetroit.com. Make it a great Monday, but make sure you bundle up if you're heading outside.
We've declared a forewarned weather alert through Tuesday morning. We have a combination of impacts that we're going to feel here in Metro Detroit. We have light snow that's bringing some slippery conditions, blowing snow, contributing to those slick conditions on the roadways and reduced visibility. And then later tonight into tomorrow morning, the dangerously cold wind chills will be the big talker. Right now, temps in the teens, getting down into the single digits overnight.